Special education is very nuanced within the field of education in the sense that we inherently want parents to be able to be fully engaged in the special education process. But the reality of the process is that it can be an enigma, even for families who are speakers of English. It is very complex, and there are specific processes for every step of the identification process and moving through a child receiving services. So what becomes really important for the provision of language access is ensuring that along the way, whether it's at the start of the child's educational career with an IFSP, a program that's at their toddler years, or whether they are being identified for an IEP, an individualized education program, that parents are part of every conversation around that child, and that the interpreter is really utilized in a way to provide that accurate communication on behalf of the school or school system, and that the interpreter is also in place to be able to be that ear to connect the information from the family to the school. One of the really critical parts of an IEP meeting, for example, or a special education meeting, is to ensure that the parent feels comfortable enough to communicate their concerns and to communicate what they have observed from their child, because we know that parents are seeing children so many more hours than the school will ever see them, and parents are their child's first teacher. So we have to value the voice of the parent, and that interpreter is critical in bridging that communication to ensure that the special education team is very aware of what the needs are of the student outside of what they have observed in the school setting. The laws around special education are also very specific. Under IDEA, the laws are specific around the provision of services for families to ensure that families have information in a language that they can understand. So that will include everything from the oral interpretation that is happening within a meeting to the documents that families are receiving, whether it's the procedural guidelines, the procedural safeguards, whether it is the prior written notice information, evaluation reports. It is critical that that information is available to families in a language that they understand. And if it is not available, or the resources are not immediately available for written translation, that there is the opportunity for an interpreter to potentially provide sight translation of those documents to ensure that families are totally aware of all of the information that they are receiving on behalf of their child.